Hello everybody, good morning. This is my fourth video. In this video we talk about some more operators, precedence rule, and then introduction to control structures. The first category is the relational operators. It allows us to compare two data types or two operands. The result is always either true or false. 8 less than 15 is true. 6 is not equal to 6, evaluate false. 5.9 less than or equal to 7.5, it evaluates to true. When you print, true will be printed as 1, while false printed as 0. You have to be careful when we use the equality operator because it may give some problem. For example, in algebra we know 1 over 3 times 3 is 1, whereas on a computer 1 over 3 times 3 is not 1, it is closer to 1. Therefore, this evaluation will not produce the true result, rather it will produce a false result. So one has to be aware of the finite number representation or number representation using finite number of bits. So there are 3 logical operators. One is not, the second one is and, the third one is or. The not operator operates on one variable, that's why it is called unary, whereas and or are binary operators. And as I said before, true is 1, false is 0. And here is a truth table for and or. And is true when both the guys are true. Or is true if at least one of them is true. The precedence rule, the relational and logical operators are always evaluated from left to right. The associativity is left to right. However, parentheses can override. And the revised precedence rule is shown here. First, unary operators, and then binary arithmetic operators, then addition and subtraction, then the relational operator, then equality operator, and then comes and or. Finally, the assignment operator will be used. And more elaborated precedence table is given here, and this has been taken by Detail's book. Assuming that this precedence rule, assuming we have this following declaration, not found is false because found is true. X is bigger than 4 is true because x is 5.2 and 5.2 is bigger than 4. And over here is not found and x is greater than 0 is not found is false. Also, when x is 5.2, 5.2 is bigger than equal to 0 is true. Therefore, x is bigger than equal to 0 is true. So finally, the expression is false because one of them is false. you can check out the other guys like this. And you can use integer data type to manipulate logical expression, because the integer 1 is true and integer 0 is logical false. And if he writes something like this, 0 is less than or equal to num less than or equal to 10, it is always evaluated to true, because 0 is less than any positive number is true, and true means this answer is a 1. So 1 is less than equal to 10 is always true. So the correct way to write the expression is you split it using the AND operator as shown below. And the control structure here is, there are 3 control structure that are supported by C programming. One is sequence, where we execute guys one after another. The second one is selective execution, which means you make a choice. Third one is repetition, where we repeatedly execute until something happens. These control structures are shown in the figure. The common feature of all of them is one entry, one exit. Here you enter and here you exit, right? This is true for all of them. And selection, there are 2 kinds. One is one-way selection, second one is two-way selection. The one-way selection is, the syntax is like this: if expression, then we execute the statement. Which means if the expression is true, we execute this statement. Otherwise, the statement execution is bypassed. And this is shown in the figure, right? If the expression is true, I do the statement. Otherwise, I will not do the statement. And here is an example: a big equal to a big equal greater than b, then I change big to b. Otherwise, I will not do that. In that way, the a big equal to a stays. And we just coded it in C. Then the sample run indicates the answer. There is another example for one-way selection, and here there is a problem, because you have to put the expression in bracket. The second one is also a problem, because you should not put any semicolon after score is greater than or equal to 60. And is a two-way selection. We call it if else. If expression is true, we do the statement 1. Otherwise, we execute the statement 2. If the words if and else are reserved word, which means you cannot use them as your identifier. Here is a flowchart for two-way selection. Here is a simple example. If x is less than 0, then y equal to minus x. Otherwise, y equal to x. So in this case, we execute only one statement. Therefore, there is no need for curly bracket. Whereas here, if a is bigger than b, I have to do 2 things. Otherwise, I have to do these 2 things. So when you want to do more than one thing, you must enclose them in a curly bracket, and this is known as a compound statement. And there are some examples that illustrate two-way selection. You can study this by yourself. And I did mention about compound statement. They are bracketed by curly left braces and right braces. For example, here, if your age is over 18, you are not a minor, you can eligible to vote. Otherwise, you must be a minor and you cannot vote. Multiple selection, nested if needed. You can put if within an if. For example, you calculate the interest rate depending on the balance. For a various balance, you have a different interest rate. For 50,000, 7%. For 25,000 and 50,000 is 5%, and so on. And we can also do this using if a chain of if else. Study this by yourself. And here is a good example. If a student gets over 90, it's an A. If he gets below 90 but above or equal to 80, it's a B. On the other hand, if he gets between 70 and 80, it's a B. If he gets above 70 but between 60 and 70, he gets a C. He gets a D if he makes 60%. If he doesn't make 60%, he gets an F. And here is a typical run of that code. People always make mistake between double equal to and single equal to. When you put a double equal to, we ask a question, whereas when you put a single equal to, we make an assignment. And you have to be aware of the problem created by this. In summary, we talked about control structures and relational operators and the logical operators in this presentation, and that's it. So what I want you to do is you study this by yourself. We will go in deep with more example in the in-class lecture, and I want you to do the quiz which I posted in the blackboard. Thank you, and you have a good day.